currently we're in the month of February and I'm coming up to my 12-month anniversary of dropshipping on eBay. Now in that time I've done a lot of sales, and even in the past 2 months since the start of January, I've made well over £1,500 selling on eBay alone just by dropshipping. With that being said though, in the past 12 or so months, there's a lot of mistakes that I have made, and a lot of these mistakes have cost me hundreds of pounds if not thousands, whether that's in missed revenue or items going missing or other problems along the way. So I want to tell you guys about what these are and how to avoid them, and this is going to apply, by the way, whether you're on eBay, Amazon, Etsy or even Shopify or another website. This is about dropshipping in total and mistakes that you can avoid making if you want to make the most amount of money possible. Now, of course, I do recommend that you guys subscribe if you haven't already done so, as we are close to 200 subscribers, and I'm trying to get on publishing more and more content each and every week. However, it is a little bit challenging at the moment. Anyway, let's get into it and start off with the biggest thing on this list. So a lot of people like to get into the world of dropshipping, but I think the reason why most people miss out on thousands of pounds worth of revenue is because they don't have a clear strategy. Now, that's going to sound like an obvious one, but this is a lot more complicated than many people think. You see, everybody goes to start dropshipping on places like Shopify. The trouble is though, these sites have low credibility because you have to build your own website and your own brand image, which from the beginning is harder than it needs to be. You don't want to sell on somewhere like that unless you have a product that you can market well, you know how to market it, and you can market it cheaply. Now in the next few days and weeks I've got a video coming out talking about Shopify marketing, something that I've done myself to drive sales to my Shopify store. But with that being said, the first mistake that people make is being on the wrong platform. You don't necessarily need to reinvent the wheel to get this business turning. Maybe when you're bringing in a few £1,000s worth of revenue a week or a month, then you can start to think about expanding into your own brand and having your own Shopify store. But I would say in the beginning and early stages, I wouldn't create a brand image. I think it's not worth it. I think the best thing to do is sell on an existing marketplace where the credibility is already there, where the customers are already there, because obviously if you have your own site, people have to search for it. It's just more hassle. But I think there are bigger mistakes that people make. Another big one, I think, is selling cheap items, and there's a few reasons for this. Now I must say, on my eBay shop, the cheapest items that I sell ever are about £25. The most expensive items that I've sold up to this point have been well over £250, so there's quite a lot of variation. At the moment, most of my sales come in the range between about £45 and £60, with another bracket being around £130 to £175. Now out of those two brackets, I prefer the uppermost bracket, but I think people who sell things for $2, $3, $4, $5, $5, 6, 7, 8, £9, it's not worth it. You're not going to make enough profit. You're going to be doing too much administration work trying to sell items, and of course, when you sell more and more items, you've got more potential for returns, complaints, and the lower quality items are generally the cheaper ones. I think it makes more sense to look at good stock and of course invest in that. Now, of course, when you add expensive items to your inventory as well, what you generally get is better customer service, as these items are, again, well built, but also they come with faster shipping times, and you attract a different sort of customer. You attract someone who's looking for a genuine item that they want, rather than something that's a necessity. And I think if you're looking to create a long-term brand image, you want to have those profits coming in. You want to do the least amount of work possible to get them. And you know, when you're selling items for £100-200, you can easily make £50 to £100 per sale on an item. It makes more sense in my opinion. Now the next thing that I'd say relates to pricing of items, and this is something which I've not been 100% certain of until I made the mistake myself, and this mistake cost me hundreds of pounds simply by losing an item. And I'd say be careful on the high end of things, because people don't always talk about this one. In fact, I've never heard about people talking about it before, but it relates to import duties. So I didn't know this until I made the mistake. In England, in my country, as far as I'm aware, items in certain categories up to £135 are duty free, but past that point you can start to have to pay extra costs, which can leave items in transit, which can leave items lost, and which can lead to massive charges on top of items. I sold something for £250, the item got lost, and by the time I'd recovered it and fees and everything, I'd had to refund the customer and of course pay the extra £40 fee on top of it. So it was actually negative after making such a huge sale, which should have been a great profit. So be very careful and be aware of import duties in your country, because that's important to consider. Now the next thing that I'd say is equally important relates to inventory storage. Now I know what you're thinking, inventory storage? We're doing dropshipping, we don't store inventory. Well, of course we don't physically store it, but we do have to store it in a way somewhere. Now most people's way of doing this, well, it varies. A way that I like to use is one that I'm going to speak about in the future, but I like to use spreadsheets to compile links, and I also like to use automation software which allows me to have supplier optimizers, which allows me to essentially put all of my AliExpress products on one site. I'm going to speak about that more in the future, but that's the way that I like to do things as of current. But what I would always say is keep on top of your inventory, because when you have physical inventory, like a small amount that I still have from my old store, which I'm still trying to get rid of, you know what's here, right? You can see what's obviously on the shelves, and it makes sense. Now, when you do not have a physical inventory, it's much harder to keep track of things. And for that reason, I would definitely urge on the side of caution. I definitely recommend looking over your inventory maybe once every month at the highest, because then if you do not do that, what you may run into is an issue that I've had a few times in the past, where someone orders an item and you get all excited because a new orders come in, and you look for the item and it's off AliExpress or whatever site you're on, and you can't find it anywhere, it's not in stock anywhere, and you have to cancel the order, leading to bad feedback, bad brand image, and of course less profits coming in. So keep on track of what you're doing, and it looks like you're running a more efficient business. So I guess these are a few of the tips that I'd look for if you're looking to save money in your dropshipping business, i.e. not make as many losses, but also increase your revenue as well, because you're going to want to have things like good feedback, you're going to want to have things like a good brand image, and you're going to want to have things like fast customer service. If you do all of these things, you'll be able to create more revenue, and of course, being in those less niche industries, you're going to have the potential to make more money. That's areas where I'd recommend being in, and that's what I personally do myself. So with that being said, thank you for watching this one, and I hope I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye for now. See you soon.